when we think about the idea of the therapeutic relationship and using micro skills to develop it, the thing that kind of, is pervasive, no matter what skill that you choose to use, is the way that we deliver the actual skill. So I want to speak to that a little bit because it can really have an impact on your ability to bond with the client. And so one of the things that I'll start with is tone, right? The tone that you're using. Is it soft? Is it inviting? Is it like a warm hug, right? Is it sharp? Is it judgy, right? So tone has a big piece to it. We don't always realize if we're not using the right tone in the moment, it can come off as very parental. It can come off as very judgmental. It can come off as sharp, distancing. So the tone that we use, and if you haven't really listened to yourself and your tone, you don't really go, I don't really know what kind of tone to use. Record yourself saying some of the skills that you would use, especially if we think about partner assignments and things of that nature, and listen just for tone. So it can be incredibly impactful in how you're delivering responses. Volume's another, right? When we get really low, when we get really loud, right? So our volume has a lot to do with how we're being perceived and how we're making it close. If my client has a big volume, I might mirror that back of like, oh my gosh, that's intense. Okay, where are we now, right? So when there's a really heavy feeling in the room, my volume will drop. Okay, that also is connected to our rate of speech, meaning is our rate of speech very fast and we're going really quick and we're causing some anxiety with how quick this is? Oh my gosh, I got to get this all out. Or do we have a variance in it where sometimes we have a faster rate of speech, sometimes we have a slower? If the client has a slow rate of speech, I might match it, right? If they start out with a really fast rate of speech and there's some hypomania, there's some anxiety that's happening and their rate of speech is really high, I actually might start with them and purposely slow down so that they slow down as well. Because when I start to slow down my rate of speech, when we're connected, we'll start to mirror each other. So rate of speech can be its own intervention, right? Pacing. How quickly are we getting through the session? So when I'm having a session, I always kind of like glance down at my clock so that I can kind of pace out where we're going. So my movement through the session and how I'm delivering some of these different responses, I'm doing it in a manner that I know is hitting a therapeutic window, right? Hitting that time frame, what's in the very beginning, how much do we need to work on? Am I opening something too big at the end, right? So lots of ideas around delivery. And the last one is rate of response, meaning, am I responding more than the client? Am I responding almost nothing, right? So I tend to think of it a lot as like dancing with a partner. If your partner's out there dancing and they're doing this individual dance and you're out on the floor with them and you don't ever step up to do your part of dancing, they're like, where are you? Are you here with me or am I dancing alone, right? So your rate of response, I kind of think of it as like client, counselor, client, counselor. So our rate of response should really kind of bounce back and forth, right? It should be the dance of therapy. And so when we take over the show and we're just dancing, well, where's our client? We've left them in the dust, right? So we always want to make sure that we are dancing with our partner. We're going back and forth. We're having this sense of engagement. Even a client, I will say I have one client right now that loves to dance, right? So I'm constantly like, hey, I'm going to pause you just for a second because I want to make sure I'm with you. I want to make sure that I'm tracking and following everything you're saying. I don't want to miss it. So let me make sure I understand. I'm going to pause for 1 second. So I'm going to go back. So here's what I'm hearing. Is that what I'm hearing? Yes. Okay. Let's keep going. And then she'll go right back into dancing, right? So when we talk about micro skills, when we talk about developing our therapeutic relationship, it's not just the skills we use. It's how we deliver them, how we're using them in the session.